Welcome back to the Hank Strange Situation. Lifestyles.
Make
of
sure
the
you
Locked
guys
and
subscribe,
Loaded.
thumb up, ring the bell so you can be notified. I think we're live with Mac. I think
And
so.
we're live with Hank Strange, man. We're simulcasting again, man. This is awesome. I love this stuff, man. This is so much different than like a Google Hangout. This is like so much better because we can do so much more for our collective audiences. The only thing it's weird is I wish the stuff I shared on my screen would show on your end too.
Oh yeah. That would be cool. I also wish that people could see all the craziness behind the scenes as we try to break everything and mess around with stuff.
I literally had to redo everything. It took me hours to set this show up today. And in the last 5 minutes, I had to recreate everything. I lost it all.
Yes, Mac power strike again.
Dude,
Mac
I could
power.
break anything. Steel ball, locked in a room, break it or make it pregnant. It is a gift and a curse all at the same time.
Yeah, beware. So tonight, this for me, it's episode 402. We're calling it Live with Mac, High Point C9, Yeet Cannon, what happened, and 2A preparedness. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff, but you're the one that put me onto the Yeet Cannon, so you're gonna have to explain it, Mac.
All right, so let's talk about the Yeet cannon. First of all, I need to get over here to the live. Is Babyface around, man? Because I need somebody to.
Oh, are you getting spammed already? Hold on a sec. Let me send a message to him. See, unfortunately on my side, Lola's not here. I don't know if you heard about this, but Lola left me. I don't know.
No,
Did
stop.
you hear about this? Yeah, man, she left me. She went to Texas because her brother is becoming a sergeant major.
Oh yeah.
So she
Okay.
went to Texas and left me. She left me here. I know, it's like clickbait.
Come on, man. That's serious stuff you're joking with there. That like makes my heart sink, right?
Yeah.
Yeet. So what's a Yeet cannon? All right, so I'm playing with new functionality here, guys. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shrink Hank's head. Okay, head shrunken. Okay, and then I'm gonna bring up a picture of a Yeet cannon. So this, everybody, is a Yeet cannon. So what's the backstory if you don't know? So this is something I normally probably wouldn't talk about, but so High Point went to the internet and said, you guys get to come up with the name, and whichever name wins a popular vote, we will name the new gun that you see on my screen right now.
Big mistake.
We'll name it that. And so Yeet cannon, which I had to Google, and I'm Gen X, right? And so I had to Google Yeet because I wasn't familiar with the common usage in the modern lexicon context. And so I Google it and I find out it's like being startled or something like that, or excitement at startle, like he stole my handgun, right? So anyway, and I guess it can be used in any multiple number of different ways. And so I'm like, okay, so it's like yeet, startled, and I pull my hand cannon, and I thought that was pretty funny. Do I think it's the best name? No, but the point being is High Point pulled this little stunt. So it was winning in the polls. Right. Mm-hmm. And then they go, OK, guys, we've got it. We got it down to these top contenders. And I'm showing you guys what those top contenders are right now. It's right off their Facebook page. And they got the C19, the C9-G2, the AMP9, the PHX9, the C9E, 9 EVOS, and CTEC. I don't have to read them all if you got the idea. So what's not there is the YC9 or the Yeet Cannon 9 that was the most popular.
That's what the people want.
It's what the people wanted, and so they denied it. And Hank, they were on your show. What did they say to you?
So they came on the show. They actually showed off the C9, the prototype of it. If you guys want to see that, I threw up a snippet on both channels, Lifestyles of the Locked and Loaded and Hank Strange, so you could take a look. And they said to us that they were going to do this contest, and then it kind of slipped out like, we'll do several rounds, so we'll do this and we'll start off the first round, let everyone just put everything in, and then we'll go through that and take out some stuff. And I was like, don't do it. Do not let, if you let people put things in, whatever's most popular, then that's what you're going to have to roll with that. Whether you like it or not. I was trying to get the Hank .9. Someone suggested the Mac .9, and all that. So they said that, and I thought to myself, this is gonna go wrong because the internet, right?
Right.
The internet.
Right.
So I think that they did try to hide this from people because you're saying it's very obvious what got the most votes. You can actually see that still.
So it went so far, and here, let me shrink your head again.
Mm-hmm.
So it went so far that let's see, where is it? Oh, I had it. Oh no, where did it go? I even sent it to you. It was where did you go? So HK was like conversing with them.
Yeah.
And HK even said, "Hey, look, guys, we'll I'm gonna throw this over here real quick."
Yeah. Basically,
it's part of my brokenness. So you're seeing me fix this in real time.
Yeah.
So H&K actually did this. They said, "Hey, look, High Point Firearms, we will back your play on this. Call it the Yeet cannon."
Mm-hmm.
H&K registered the domain name Yeet, KANONE.com.
HK was trolling them now. HK was you know that.
No,
right?
but they were legit. So yes, it's a troll, but they were serious. They're like, we'll do photos together.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And they said that, and even High Point responded to H&K. Wow. And so H&K registered the domain name I just gave you, and then after they did that, let me do this.
I'm throwing it up. I found the link. I have the link. I'm throwing it up on my side. The link that shows everything, and then I think in here there's also a screen capture of HK going after them as well. There's lots of here we go.
So this is the actual page. So if you look on the screen right now on my side, you're going to see when I type in Yeet Cannon, KANONE.com, it takes me straight to the Mark 23 page. And so HK they weren't fooling, man. They were dead serious. Were they trolling them? Yeah, but I mean, they actually did register the domain. It does point to the Mark 23, and good on HK, right? So here you have probably one of the most iconic HK handguns ever built, and even controversial, and they're playing ball. And so I thought that was really, really interesting. But so it played out. So I just noticed this today. So check this out.
Mm-hmm.
I just put this up. It's Yeet or YC9 versus the winning name. So they're saying, we listen to you, we hear you. It might be a little bit more visible if I unshrink your head and just pop the screen.
This shrinking and unshrinking of my head, man, is very it's disturbing.
So here's HK's actual response on the Facebook page. Right, I'm showing it to my audience here.
I'll throw it up on mine as well. I went to the wrong thing here. Hold on a second.
Let's see.
Yeah.
And so here, High Point is on their webpage.
Yeah.
They're like, we hear you loud and clear. We have always been a company for the free people, and because it has been pitchforks and torches, you have forced us to announce some things sooner than later. The plan has been to announce voting the name winner on the 25th. What you didn't know is that we are going to announce the head-to-head vote of the YC9, the Yeet cannon, versus the winning name. I don't know what that winning name is.
Right.
But so it seems like they're kind of gonna go with it, man. They may go with the Yeet cannon. So
I think they're gonna have to.
My little C9 here. When I update it, and I will become the YC9. Now, We Like Shooting even got theirs in there, WLS, right? Mm-hmm. The WLS9. Mm-hmm. And I saw that as an option. I'm thinking, because we have WLS radio in Chicago. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? I mean, why would a news station want their, and I realized, that's We Like Shooting.
Yeah, right.
So, it's been a funny go. And so it looks like they're going to maybe consider it because people are really, really blowing the internet up. And I tweeted at them, and I know other people did.
Yeah, you can see in a lot of so if you search this and you go in there, you can see Mac actually getting in on some of the comments and stuff like that. I think this is interesting. It's kind of it's kind of like a dichotomy of two completely different firearms manufacturers, right? You have High Point. They have a reputation for being cheap or affordable, however you want to look at it. I think every gun guy should have a High Point. I think the folks out there who have like comments about it and they never owned one. If you're a gun guy, get one. You can get one for $100, sometimes
Here's
less
my
than
45.
That. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, they're $200 or less if you buy them used,
Yeah.
And I was over Iraq Veterans, and he took a 40 Smith & Wesson and reamed the chamber out, made it 10 millimeter, and actually shot the darn thing on video.
Yeah.
And they've yet to offer it. They got the 10 millimeter carbine, but not the 10 millimeter pistol. But you're right, Hank. It's not like it's a premium brand. They should have fun with it. It's a $200 handgun. It's not like they're up against H&K or Colt or established names and CZ or even SIG. It's freaking High Point. It's a Z-Mac and plastic handgun that's for the masses that actually works, but have some fun with it. Yeah. I mean, seriously, they don't even have to call it the Yeet cannon. Just put YC9 on it.
Yeah, if you want to be professional, but I'll tell a couple of things here. If you put Yeet cannon on that thing, you are going to sell a crap ton.
Yes. But I mean, the controversy alone has really, I think, upped sales. No matter what they do, it's going to play out to their financial benefit. Yeah. But if they truly want to capitalize on this, name it the Yeet cannon, let the internet own that, and let everybody go, hey, we did this.
Yeah. Special edition, the first, 1,000, 10,000, whatever you want, right? Just put Yeet cannon on it.
Just YC9 it, man. It's in the end, it has such a cool backstory at this point. If they don't do it, it's going to be a major letdown. And well,
they're going to have to. And the thing about High Point, you were talking about Iraq veteran Eric. They torture tested the crap out of one. You remember that years ago?
Oh yeah, I remember. They went to the point of putting it in a cast iron pot, not skillet, but pot, and melting it.
Yeah.
Over an open fire.
Yeah, they just fried that thing down. So they're pretty tough. And then on the other side of this game comes HK. HK, they do make a high quality guns most of the time, right? Everyone wants an MP5 and all that kind of stuff.
I love HK.
Yeah,
I do.
So
have my entire life.
HK is high end, but there's one thing about HK: they don't like the peoples. They don't like that. High Point likes the people. It's like the people's gun. It's like a Volkswagen Beetle.
Yep.
And HK is like what, a Mercedes?
Pistol. I mean, maybe the VP9 should be this. This should be the VP9. In my experience, it works better than the VP9. So anyway, it's the one HK product I'm not a fan of.
I don't like the VP9 either, but it just doesn't.
Or the P30. I think I've had more. I've had two P30s, and both of them were just unreliable as all hell.
Yeah.
Same with my VP9s.
I think it's size of hands. I know there's a lot of people like using them in competition. But so here's the funny thing. And everyone knows this about HK. HK has told me that in the past when I've tried to talk to them, SHOT Show, NRA, stuff like that. They're like, yeah, we really don't care about the the commercial market, civilian market, or whatever. That's not what we cater to. So they kind of have a bad reputation with people in terms of that, but a great reputation when it comes to the guns. I mean, I know gun guys that have HK tattooed on their bodies. I don't know any gun guy that has High Point at this point.
Well, there will be one.
Yes.
There is somebody that has it.
There is some.
That.
There is some ghetto. I mean, there was that. Did you ever see the video of like some gangster guy with a mask and all that stuff on, like a drug dealer or something, and he had a High Point, but he thought it was a Glock 40? You ever saw that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I got a super chat. Is one.
Go ahead.
And the super chat, Tuho says, I think HK is bankrupt. They've been in and out of bankruptcy. I think several times, kind of like Colt. Whenever you rely on government contracts to fill your hoffers, you're gonna lose at some point. It didn't play out well for Colt. They had the monopoly on the M16 contract for decades, and then FN came into the U.S. market and made the same gun as good or better and cheaper, and Colt's now in and out of bankruptcy and can't poop an original thought, and that sucks because I love the Colt brand, right? Yeah. I love Colt AR-15s. The old ones, not the new ones. But the rumor is they don't even make the new ones anymore. So. Yeah, but that's getting off into a rabbit hole. So I don't know if they're bankrupt or not, man.
HK, it's tough to know with everything going on right now. But I think so. There's a couple of things in here. Vanessa Kitty on my side wants to know what a Yeet cannon is, And basically, it's going to be the new high point. It's going to be a Yeet cannon if you want to look it up. But Yeet, like you said, is just an exclamation of surprise or something like that.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the definition of it? So, and then I've got another comment from Christian Gress who says, "Look, if they make a Yeet cannon, it'll be my first ever high point purchase. I'm sure I won't be the only one." Very true.
Yep. Probably not.
Yeah, and Richard Hughes gave me a couple of bucks here. He says, "I got a high point tramp snap." Okay, if you don't send us pictures, and we have to like make sure that's not photoshopped.
Yeah, pictures or it didn't happen.
But we have to make sure it's not photoshopped, because you could say that if you want to. And I do have a statement from the guy that was on, Dave from High Point. But yeah, so here you have these two completely diverse companies, right? And then HK decides to go at him, and then I'm going to throw up the comment that they made here. Let me see if I could do this. Okay, so this is HK says, "Please take some advice from someone who doesn't listen to their customers." This is HK, someone at HK in marketing saying this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, please take some advice from someone who doesn't listen to their customers. You really, really should. Swallow your pride, get out your crayons, and write a letter to your legions of almost new customers and call it the YC9. We promise to do a collaborative photo shoot with you. We will bring an MK23 specially marked YC45. This is not a joke. The powers of two Yeet cannons, the original and the little brother, would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing that they put out. So how could you not take them up on this? I think that High Point was trying to avoid it, but then there was an outcry, like you said. You were reading what was coming from. By the way, so the Tyven Show. I don't know if you see the Tyven Show on your thing or not. I don't. He's a moderator here on my end. If you're looking for someone to do something, he's like a trusted person. If you really need that.
I have super chats popping that aren't popping in my. Oh, there they are. Okay. Wow, man. I'm a one-man show. I'm without Jason tonight.
Yeah. I sent a thing to Babyface, but look for the Tyven Show. Tyven Show. Yeah. And if there's anyone else on my end that can help out Mac, let me know. If Mac asks me the name, I'm going to say whether or not I trust that person.
Tyven Post now, Tyven Show. There he is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Ivan, you are now a moderator.
Yeah. Lola,
I guess it didn't stick because I made him a moderator last time.
You did?
Thank you,
okay.
Tyven, for helping out, brother. Okay, now let's get to some of these super chats that I blew past here.
Okay. And I think Babyface says he's in there now too, so you should be good. Every time we go live, by the way, someone's going after Mac, big time. So we just need to make sure that we, tamp that down. Right.
I got one of my super chats says, "Hey, let's talk about red meat anti-commie stuff." Well, you will notice the shirt that I'm wearing, and you know what blows my mind, man, is I wear my Che Guevara shirt that says "Ban Communists" across his face, and I wear my "Ban Socialism" stuff. And you'd be surprised how many young folks like, "I love your shirt," and it starts that conversation, because that's something we were going to talk about later in the chat. Yeah. So let's finish up.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that once we get through this whole Yeet can. See, here's the thing. Some people might not have heard about this yet, so they're like, what is going on? This will be the thing you'll probably be talking about, Yeet cannons.
Oh, here we go. I got a super chat that kind of blows up or blows out, what this Yeet thing is. It says, okay, so Yeet isn't an exclamation of surprise. It means throw something.
Oh.
So, that's even better.
Oh, Yeet, I get it.
See, I looked it up in the Urban Dictionary, and it said the expression of excitement or surprise or whatever. I didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
The internet's lying to me.
It's gonna be whatever we make it. I'll tell you that after now. If you search Yeet cannon, it's going to be a high point. Get used to it. Richard Hughes replied back. He says, my wife will have to shave my back to see it. Whatevs. I don't believe it.
Yeah, okay. I'm not buying that one either.
Yeah.
So I got a guy. Now Arrow is making the Yeet cannon lower. Okay, so that was a super chat. Thank you.
That's going to happen. I believe someone's going to make a Yeet cannon lower. That's going to happen. without a doubt.
Yeah, here's another super chat saying, and thank you for the super chat, guys. I mean, all these videos, we used to get these monetized, and YouTube is now systematically going through and demonetizing all of our live streams. I mean, we can't make money here to save our lives, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
man, I remember the good old days when you could actually live the YouTube promise of being able to be a creator and do it as a job, and for 2 or 3 years that was true, and then incrementally every year they've just wiped us out, and now they're just done with us.
You got to check out Gunstreamer. They're here in the chat, by the way.
Gunstreamer, contact me, please. I am no longer affiliated with Full 30, and so we can have a chat. I'd love to port over to your site and diversify.
By the way, we're probably now going to have to touch on that a little bit later. I hate to hear that, though.
No, it's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm still friends with the Full 30 guys. It's just that I wanted to go a different direction, and that's it. So I wanted to focus on, I have so many irons in the fire that I don't know. I have to focus. I have to kind of bring down all my things that I'm doing because of my political activism, the YouTube channel. It's what this is like.
Yeah, it's tough, man, to be a one-man band. Yeah,
and even though I'm not an active on the floor partner, I still have to have business meetings regularly, and we have to discuss serious stuff. And then trying to get into the import business and trying to find money for that. It's just I have to focus on the things closest to me. And
absolutely,
30 had drifted away, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll if folks want to get into that, we'll get into it a little bit more. Christian Grest gave us $5 here on this side. He says, "Here's $5 YouTube will never see."
So, they claim to pay more on the super chats than they do on ads, but we don't get ads anymore. And if we do, they're not really paying us for them. I mean, the ammo I earn on YouTube, or the money I earn on YouTube now might buy a case of ammo.
Yeah.
So,
Michael Jr. wants to know if your content's still going to be on Full 30.
Yeah. I'm not going to leave Full 30. And I want to see Full 30 boom. I really, really do. So I'm not going to leave. I just need to start being more active and uploading again. If I wish Full 30 had Gunstreamer functionality where, like BitChute, right? If you go over to bitchute.com and look for the Military Arms channel, the second I post a new video to YouTube, they pull the description, they pull the tags, and then boom, it's on BitChute. Okay. And it's fully monetized over there, but my videos get 700 views versus 60,000. But at least I have some place to go, and there's a running backup. I don't have to actively upload to all these alternatives. I just don't have time.
Yeah. Listen, we need alternatives, and I don't think there's going to be any competition in this space right now. We need people doing this to offer alternatives to folks out there, right? And since it's young and in the developmental stage, we don't want something to go wrong where we all get mass deplatformed and there's no way to go. So personally, I'd like to support everyone that wants to do something to help out with this that's of merit. And my stuff is on Full 30, always has been. Mac's the one who put me on there years ago.
Yeah, man, and that was early on. Let's see, I'm gonna throw up some super chats here for folks, and thank you for all the super chats, guys. This is awesome. Let's see, due to lower firearm sales, due to Republican president, do you foresee the future of PR stunts like this from other manufacturers? I mean, that's very well could be a PR stunt. Yes, firearm sales suck. I mean, we call it the Trump slump in the industry. Once he got elected, sales stopped. The panic buying of 8 years ended. And, and there were some unscrupulous gun dealers out there that said, man, I wish Hillary would have won because sales would have continued on for another 4 to 8 years. Yeah, at the expense of our rights. I would rather live in a paper box on the street and live as a free man versus having, money. And it's people's priorities are all screwed up. I'll take a Trump slump because at some point it's up and down in any business, and I'll take the downs. And some of the people, I think that it was even recent news, some companies so heavily invested in a Hillary win, we talked about this in the last stream, they're now going out of business.
Yeah.
Well, we made the conscious decision at Copper not to, go get loans to bring in more guns. It's like, well, if Hillary wins, we'll deal with that. If Trump wins, we'll deal with that. And so we didn't change anything, and that would have put us out of business too. But we made the right decision. But
that's
it's been a bad 3 years, man. It really has been.
Richard Hughes gave us another couple of bucks. He says Coleon /NRA came out for suppressors. I did see that video from Coleon Noir, which I think was a good video. Good to see that on NRA TV.
In support of suppressors?
In support of suppressors, yes. So that, I mean, that's like a weird situation, but I do want to support like Coleon for getting out there and saying what he had to say. I think we all know that's his stance on this, right? He's been tweeting at Trump, by the way. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
I get a kick out of it. Yeah. I mean, Coleon Noir is like the brightest guy in the room. He and I have been friends when he just had, maybe 1,000 subscribers. We used to talk on the phone. I just said, man, if you keep going the way you're going, you're going to blow up, dude. I love your style, your creativity. It's something I lack. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I mean, he blew up. And the thing is he is on our side of the argument. I talk to him, and people on social media constantly try to set us at odds. Mm-hmm. Like, Coleon Noir still supports the NRA. Well, he works for ACMAC, and yes, he's a paid spokesperson for the NRA, but that doesn't mean he agrees with what Wayne does or what Chris does. And he oftentimes speaks out positively, like he just recently did on suppressors. So he's an important voice in the industry. I just wish that people would stop trying to cause conflict between all of us that are advocating for our rights. Mm-hmm. We can't get down to like, well, Hank, you're not as pro-gun as I am, therefore I'm going to call you out because we just got to stop that stuff.
Yeah, we're never all going to agree in life. I think what we need to realize is that we need to strengthen the Second Amendment as much as possible. Right? It's been weakened. It's getting a bunch of little cuts, and we need to try to do that. But I know everyone's not going to get on the same exact page. No, with all this stuff, and for lots of different reasons, And right. Then I like you said, he works for a company. I don't want to see him in a situation where he doesn't work for that company unless it's what he wants to do, because it might be easy for us if we're mad to go, yeah, get out of that thing. You don't know what someone's bills are. Right. And they do have to function in this world and take care of their bills. And he's younger than us, and we're going to need him far into the future.
He's also a great attorney, and if nothing else, he could always fall back on that and do quite well, I would imagine. Yeah. One last thing on the whole Yeet cannon thing, I thought was, and we will get into this super chat. $10. He wants talking about the Constitutional Republic and basically DCRT every Wednesday talks about grassroots working together in current events. What do you think? We're going to touch upon that and the militia stuff. Yeah. I think a little bit later in the discussion. Yeah. So I wanted to shrink your head one more time, and actually I can't do that. I gotta leave your head big because I have to split screen it three ways.
Make my head bigger.
What was funny is, did you know that there was a change.org petition to do the either the WLS 9 for 360 entries or the Yeet cannon with 556 entries.
Really?
And so there was a change.org petition to force them. I mean, this is so big. That's why I wanted to talk about it. It's just insane that they went this far with it.
So should I read the comment? So Dave Kowicka, who works for High Point and was on the show, like I said, if you guys want to see the details of the new, have you seen any of the details of it? The C9?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I put up a picture of it. Yeah. I mean, they've streamlined the look, made it, threaded a barrel for suppression, and right. Yeah. I think it looks a lot better than the current one.
It does.
But it's not much of a change. They've just kind of
it has the DNA.
A few more lines. I mean, it definitely looks better.
Yeah, it has the DNA. So let me see. Before I read his comment, I sent him an email to see if he wanted to say anything about this. Since we were going to talk about it, he did respond to me. So yes, they've made it a little bit thinner. They've threaded the barrel. The magazine, I think it's 8. What was it before? I think it's was it 8 rounds before? They've added a couple of rounds to it,
depends on
like
the model,
2 rounds.
I guess. Yeah. I have the compact, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8. 7 or 8 on the compact.
So I think it's 10 now because it's double stacked, and then at the top of it, it goes single stack. So yeah.
It's conventional magazine then.
Yeah, it has a backstrap safety. And
grip safety.
Yeah, in the back.
Nobody ever in the history of firearms, except in like 1905, said they wanted a grip safety. It's like the one thing that it's like the T handle on the M16. It's the one thing like SIG and other companies, they design a whole new gun. They put the T handle on it, the one universally hated part of the M16.
Yeah.
You design a new gun, you put a grip safety on it, the one universally hated item on it on the 1911. Yeah. People put rubber bands around them in competition and stuff.
I think they said they did it. If you shake yours, I think there's a little bit of a rattle, right? This is their reasoning. This is not, me. Yeah, that little bit of a rattle, they said that it gets rid of that. I'm not sure what the engineering
The rounds in my magazine rattle when I, jump up and down. So
yeah,
not too worried about that.
Yeah. So they did a couple of things with it. So we'll all be seeing this. So let's see. I'm just gonna go to his comment. What did I do with it now? And I immediately,
deleted it.
Okay, here it goes. So he says YC9 is not out of the running, nor was it ever really. That's what he's saying. We were expecting some huge responses, but not quite the torches and pitchfork response.
Hey, you're dealing on the internet, dude.
Yes.
It's all or nothing. When you go to the internet, you can expect two things.
Yeah.
Torches and pitchforks, and you're not going to get a serious name for your handgun.
No.
I mean, if you went into this thinking you're going to come out with some, awesome name that was like super high class and like, whoa, that's too cool.
No.
Ain't going to happen.
There's a submarine.
And no matter what you do, there's no right answer on the internet. You're going to get the torches and pitchforks.
Absolutely. There's a company, I guess, that's doing some climate change research or something like that, and they have a submarine, like one of those drone submarines they're putting in the ocean, and they did a naming thing. Yeah. So the people chose Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah, I heard about that, Boatface, and they named it that.
That's the name of it, yeah, because that thing is out there in service right now, and it's Bodie McBoatface. The newscasters have to say that when they talk about it. So they go on to say that response forced us to advance things a little, like the notice today, or be destroyed via social media. So we did. It's pretty much that simple.
Social media will destroy you. Just stop and say, you know what? Pull a SIG in the military handgun trials. There's supposed to be 5 phases of the testing. They made it to 3, and the government just said, screw it, we're adopting the SIG.
Yeah.
Just stop the contest now.
Yeah.
YC9 is what it should be. Name the thing the YC9, and let's just roll with it.
It's only snowballing from here. So he said to me,
I'll buy one, do videos with it.
Yeah, exactly. So he says, how does that work for a quote? The only issue thus far is I didn't have that many visuals ready, so I've scrapped a ton and I'm creating more now. Oh, well. So that's why we see like a kind of scrubby looking from the early 80s, that graphic they put up on the Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look so awesome. And he says, for future reference, the voting/polling for next week will still be on the main High Point page like it is now, so no crazy URL links, because it was actually pretty difficult to get to this thing to vote in the first place. So hopefully they sort all that out, and then everyone goes in there, but I think it's too late. You're going to get the Yeet cannon whether you like it or not, or someone else is going to sell a ton of those.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I mean, somebody else is going to run with this. You might as well run with it.
Yeah. So hopefully they get that worked out. All right, I know we've got a bunch of things we wanted to go on to.
We're half hour in, and thank you for all the super chats, guys. They really do help out, and I can't keep up with all the questions, but I'm scrolling through looking for the super chats and trying to pop them up on the screen. If there's a question or something in there, I'm gonna try to answer it. I know Hank's doing the same thing. We don't have any sponsors on this channel. We're all 100% supported by our viewers. So through Patreon or through super chats and YouTube, whatever they decide, what few pennies they want to throw us. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, somebody made a comment. There's like 50-50 with YouTube. It's more like 70-30 our favor on super chats. So.
Yeah. And then just since you said that, I know this channel does have a couple of sponsors. This one's sponsored by Gun Prime. If you guys haven't checked out Gun Prime, they always have some really cool deals. I got a Kel-Tec RDB from them for less than $800.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm gonna be
doing
the RDB.
Stuff.
Yeah, I like it too. I did a video on it that kind of got me in trouble. I don't know if you remember that. It's from back in the days.
How could I forget?
Yeah, they got kind of mad at me.
They forgave me for everything I did to the KSG. I think they'd eventually forgive you.
It's ironic because I don't know if anyone knows this or not, but I kind of like helped broker the relationship between you guys, because I know they were really mad at you.
Oh yeah,
and I was like,
and I went down there to make things worse at Eric's.
Yeah.
So I bought a brand new one in the box, unfired.
I remember this.
From a local dealer. And I brought it down there because I knew Chad from Keltec was going to be there. And I was going to say, hey, man, I was going to hand it to him on the firing range and hand him ammunition and say, let's see if it works. And I was just trying to, I was just being me, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's what I told him.
Kind of stoking the flames. And we wound up actually talking it through. And he was actually just a cool dude. And now him and I are really good friends. And you know, I won't say their products are perfect, but what I do believe is if you do have a problem, send it to them. They'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they come up with, if nothing else, they come up with some really innovative stuff.
Yeah, I am a fan of what they do. And I remember telling them in regards to you, back when they were really mad at you, if this guy really hated you guys, why would he buy 3 KSGs? Doesn't make any kind of sense. This is a bullpup guy.
It was a birthday present to myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I showed it how it cut my wrist. I still have the scar there, and I had to wrap my wrist in a shop rag with tape because it was kicking the empties out, and the rim of the empties was hitting my wrist, and it had blood running down my arm.
Yeah.
And
so Richard Hughes wants me to ask you if you wear a size medium shirt. Yesterday, so Trump was here in Orlando, and he had a rally, and there were counter protests. And one of our guys, Richard Hughes, went out there to kind of be like the man on the street live, and he bought this T-shirt that has like Trump's head on a Justin Bieber kind of sexy body with tattoos and guns and stuff like that. It's just really ridiculous. But I don't know if are you a medium? I don't know. That's
me. I wear X large. I can wear large, but I do XL because it gives me a little bit of hangs because I carry obviously appendix. And I'm trying to conceal the firearm, so I don't do mediums.
Yeah, that's not for real.
I quit lifting weights about a decade ago when I got married, so I went from. I should show people pictures of what I looked like 10 years ago.
You used to wear a medium so you could look more puffed up. Is that what it is?
Mediums, man. Yeah, dude. I was a gym rat for a long time, and not so much anymore. You go back to my early videos, you're going to see arms a lot bigger than they are now.
That is for short dudes, man. That's not for tall guys like you. Okay.
It's harder for tall dudes like me to get any mass, man. No matter what we do, we look skinny. Yeah. No matter how. When I'm studs running around doing 100-pound dumbbells, one in each hand, doing 10 presses on a bench, and I still look like a stick. Off topic, what are the most reliable mags and ARs? Keep up doing what you're doing. Big fan. I like P mags and Lancers. The only gripe I have against Lancers is every once in a while you'll find one that's just a little too stiff on the tension, and because they have metal feed lips, which is the reason I like them. That first round, when you go to release the bolt, you'll see it in the BCM torture test or endurance test video we're doing. It won't chamber that first round, so you have to pull the bolt back and let it go again. And if you have a magazine that does that, just toss it or return it and get another one. Most of them don't, but every once in a while you'll find one that will. And if you're going to run steel cased ammunition, run PMags. Yeah. PMags, don't leave them loaded. Lancers, leave them loaded forever. Okay. PMags, unless you use that little thing that everybody throws away, and it compresses and keeps the pressure because their feed lips are polymer.
Oh, okay.
They start to stretch, and then you'll start getting double feeds, and then the magazine's bad. So.
Oh, okay. So that's what that little thing is for.
Yeah, it's supposed to clip on top to take the pressure off the rounds pushing up on the polymer feed lips.
Oh, okay. So if you're not using that on a PMag, then don't leave everything like how long can you leave something loaded in a PMag before you have to unload it, you think?
Honestly, man, I have PMags that are 5 or 6 years old with heavy use, and with heavy use, eventually they start to get the double feeds where it'll try to pop 2 rounds out of the magazine at the same time. And that's just when you throw them away. I mean, they're really affordable, and you just kind of have to cycle through them and keep them marked. And, if you have your go-to-war stuff, I would definitely use the clips on them. But nobody uses them because who wants to pull a magazine out of the mag pouch, pop a decompression clip off the top of the magazine and stick it in the gun, right?
Yeah.
So if you have preloaded magazines and your choice is PMags, just use that compression clip and lock it in there and then store them that way. But then if you're like loading up your kit to, shiznit hits the fan or whatever, pop those things off and put them in your carriers.
Okay. But, yeah, I never know what to do with those things. I know that they go back on there, but I'm like, well, what do I do?
Well, they clip on the bottom, right? Just for storage, and you can put them back on the top. But what PMag needs to do is just do metal reinforced. It's like what they did with the AK mags. They were originally polymer, and then the second generation had steel reinforced feed lips. Yeah. And they just need to do that. I would love to see a Gen 4 PMag that has steel reinforced feed lips. That would solve all the problems. I'd never buy another magazine.
Yeah. Buy your mags when they're on sale.
Rock. Yes, they do. Challenge targets.
Challenge
Got a video.
targets.
They just came out, reset up our range. That'll be posted either.
Okay,
late
that's
this
your
week.
hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is so notice that I'm not like all flush and whited out now. It's this black hat with the white letters and the gray background. Like the color balance is fixed. If I take this hat off and put on a gray hat or something else, then
You're gonna go pasty.
Yeah.
Do you
first
have
world problems.
Do you have other questions in there people want to get answered?
Keep fighting the good fight, Matt. God bless you and everybody else, guys. Absolutely, thank you.
God bless America.
God bless America.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't have any. If there's any questions on my end, let me know. If you guys have questions for Mac that you wanna get to, and I'll get those questions to him. I see lots of comment on the PMAX thing. Uncle Mike says, "I thought those were just dust covers." I had no idea.
No, they perform a critical function. That's to extend the service life of your magazines if you leave them loaded.
Yeah.
Okay, so
someone needs to do a video on that. Oh wait, you can't
Jason
do videos.
Just walked in. Good, because I have spammers super chatting me.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the dilemma. If a spammer is going to pay to spam you,
that's crazy.
Should you just let them
stay
and continue to pay to spam you?
But read their comment like this. Don't, well, are their comments good stuff or bad stuff?
It was just a call to do a legal defense fund, so I don't actually think it's a true spammer.
Oh, okay.
I put it up anyway for a brief moment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, the money is going to guns, bullets, and the Second Amendment.
Right.
So
to keep us fighting.
Would you take Bloomberg money?
No, not unless he said. No, never mind.
Yeah. Well, let's say he was
maybe in that case.
Let's say he's running ads against your videos or something like that. So whenever your videos,
I can't control that.
Yeah.
During the elections, I had Hillary ads running on my videos, and people were sending me angry emails like I picked Hillary ads. YouTube does that.
Yeah,
I have no control over what ads they run when they would run them.
Yeah, we got no control over that, but we can use their money for good. So there it goes. Okay, if you want to jump into something here.
Thank you, Canadian AR-15 guy.
Dallas federal building shooter. You did see this.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. This is
where I got to shrink your head, because this is funny. So let me get back down here to where 180 seconds ID is. So he did he did a great one that had. This is your brain on Grand Thumb, and it shows the French commando going in. And this is your brain on Nut and Fancy, and it's the. I hate picking on Nut and Fancy because I don't want any, but I get along fine with Nuttin.
Yeah.
But when he put this gun drama Johnny, I mean, this is what he does, right?
Yeah,
He's a
that's
meme
what.
guy,
Yeah.
And I about
everyone.
Laughing.
To Johnny, he's a equal opportunity offender with everyone.
Oh yeah, he picks on everybody.
Yeah,
so
we all got to get over it.
He'll level his sights on me if he makes fun of you to get over it. Actually, I encourage him. I'm like, dude, why do you leave me out of your videos? Why do you? And he honestly said, he's like, well, in person you scare me. I'm like, why do I scare you? I'm like not a scary dude at all. I'm 6'5", but I mean, it's not like I'm some imposing figure or I walk in and scowl at everybody. But I've had to reassure him several times, like, I'm not going to take it personally, and I want to be made fun of.
Yeah, there's nothing wung with that.
If you hang out with me, I make fun of myself all the time.
Yeah, I think that's all part of the process, and we shouldn't get too crazy. I think there's a line where some people get mean, but I haven't seen anything that he's done that I would really consider to be that. So. While you're popping up that thing, I'm going to try to pop up a picture here. There's the famous picture, because, when this whole thing unfolded, right, I think this guy never got into the building. But
no, he started shooting at police outside, and the police responded immediately and double tapped him in the chest, and he was out of the game, and he didn't hurt anybody but himself.
Yeah. The funny thing is, there was a photographer. So if you look at the picture that I'm throwing up, there's this famous picture of him kind of like crouching, coming out, and he has on the mask around his face.
I just showed my audience that too.
Yeah. So he has all of that stuff. Well, there's a photographer that took that and is literally right there, and he made eye contact with the guy, and then went away. And this guy also did video that you guys can see online. It's really interesting. If this guy, I think at this moment, he already caught a couple of shots. If he didn't, he would have probably came after this guy. So,
right.
Good work in terms of the guys who were there and responded to this. and took this threat out.
Yeah, I guess the guy was Army. My buddy Jason served in the Army, and he was looking at the unit patches and stuff that he had on, and I don't know what the background on the guy was.
Yeah. But
anyway,
there's some weird stuff in this picture, like the way that his gun has like duct tape around it.
Oh, he has this. He's totally.
It's weird.
He's a hot mess, dude. The slings all goofy and hanging and dangling, and I mean, obviously, I would probably say he was not a combat MOS, but maybe he was, and he was just a
And even
there's
the way
a name for what they were, but it's profanity, and I don't cuss on my channel, so
right. Yeah, even like he has like he has a Velcro on the magazines, and there's all kinds of weird things going on.
And he's carrying a DPMS. For God's sake, if you get in a gunfight, don't take a DPMS.
Yeah.
Sorry.
High point carbine. High point carbine.
I have somebody here that's asking a super chat, asking how to make a difference. They participate. They support us. They appreciate the info on the NRA. Anything else? Yes. When you can, always send emails to your representative, state and federal. Make phone calls to them, and just share stuff on social media. Just sharing these videos on social media helps reach more people. That's the whole concept of social media. If one person shares it, 2 people see it, they share it, 4 people, 6, 8, 10, 12, right? So that's how we get the message out, and we just got to do a grassroots thing. When Obama was president and he was threatening additional assault weapons bans or a new assault weapons ban, social media quickly organized protests in almost almost all 50 states at the state capitals. I went to mine, right? And a lot of people did. I knew they happened in Florida and they happened elsewhere. And that was grassroots, and that's the stuff you have to be on the lookout for. And please don't go asleep when we have a Republican in office, because Trump and Bush 41 and Reagan, more Republicans have done bad things to our rights than Democrats have. It's not for a lack of trying on the Democrats' part. They try. It's just that gun owners are more active when Democrats are in office, and then they go to sleep when Republicans are in office. And that's not good. You got to stay proactive no matter who's in office. Yeah. Because they all want to strip you of your rights.
Right. Let me see. I've got a super chat from Armament and Axis. He says, Tim's getting all the money tonight. That's good. That's a good thing. I think, the folks. So because we're simulcasting this, here's what's happening. Mac's able to put this up at the same time on his channel and get folks to support him. I'm able to do this over here on my side. You guys all get to enjoy it. You can bounce. You could go back and forward and see what am I.
Yeah, open up 2 windows.
Yeah. Yeah, or look at it later and all that kind of stuff. I have fun when we do this.
Yeah, I love it. I think we have a good conversation every time, and we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I just want to address this one with super chat, saying I should choose a sponsor, be upfront about it, and choose a company that wouldn't affect the majority of what you do. So, like Federal Ammo. So, I promised our Patreons when we went to Patreon, when YouTube, adpocalypse hit, and we all got demonetized. Literally, everything got shut off for weeks. I just in a panic went to Patreon, because I'd already lost my day job, and that income from YouTube was making my mortgage payment, and it was just gone. And I was scared, wow, very little cash reserves. It was a bad situation. Yeah. And so I just started Patreon, and I said, look, if you support us on Patreon, we will be 100% viewer supported. We will not take any industry money. And I was thinking it would be a little bit different than what everybody else was doing. And so we went with it, and I made the promise, and I can't change it. So when I get an idea, we were thinking about doing a hunting channel, which we could do strictly with sponsors, right? There would be no crossover between Mac and the Mac hunting channel. The hunting channel would have sponsors, a firearms sponsor, an ammo sponsor, where they give us product and money, and we would go on hunts. It'd be a completely separate thing. We'd never cross over with the products to the other channel.
That's cool.
But we put it to a vote to our Patreons, and 10% of our Patreons said no. Okay. They did not think that it could still contaminate my opinions, and therefore we nixed it. 10% is all it took to nix it. So we take our Patreon support very seriously, because without it, we're out of business.
Absolutely. I think you're doing a good thing. People appreciate it. James Miller gave us $15. He says, Hank, I'm a patron of you and Tim. I love these chats between the two of you. Keep up the great work. I think that the folks out there understand how everyone has to do their thing a little bit differently, and So I think, that's good. Go ahead.
I got a super chat and I'm scared. I'm a fan of you, Mac, and respect you, Hank. Please check out Yankee Marshall's latest call out video. What did he do?
I don't know. I saw lots of comments here that Yankee Marshall did a rant. Someone's going to have to let us know what he was ranting about.
What was he ranting about?
Yeah. I'm not
it
really
scares
sure.
Me.
Yeah. Who knows? Isn't every video that Yankee Marshall does a rant video?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he does, man. I mean, he's a great commentator, and he likes stirring the pot, man. That's his brand. So
yeah. In person, he's really nice. I saw him at a SHOT Show one time, and him and I were talking for like 3 hours. And Lola's like, "What is wrong with you?" Because we were just standing in the same spot, just talking.
Yeah.
For hours and hours.
I haven't met him in person.
No,
I mean, he's we've talked on the phone many times, but I've never met him in person.
Yeah. And let me just say this before we move on from Yankee Marshall. So Babyface, his dog, it's called Buckshot. Really, that's like his spirit animal. And Buckshot got hurt. One day, Babyface came out to visit me. To make a long story short, he ran into something. I think he was chasing one of the neighbor's dogs and ran into something and basically like broke the lower part of his jaw. And lots of folks helped out, but Yankee Marshall did a big call out about that. So that should just be a signal of who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. If you watch his videos at the end, he's always saying support your local animal shelter and stuff. And I know that a lot of his proceeds, I guess he is well off and had been very successful in business and stuff. And so he doesn't need the money from the internet. And so he donates, I guess, most of, if not all of his revenue to animal shelter type stuff and saving animals. And then also he does the gun thing for buying guns for people that can't afford them. So,
okay, that's good stuff. So there's some things coming in here. Says he wants people to fight 1669.
Is that the Washington State thing? That maybe that's what I thought was spam earlier.
Right. I would have to look up that particular one, but I'm seeing that from several people. And then someone says Hickok was mentioned by the Yankee Marshall.
Surprise.
Yeah. So.
Favorite target there.
Yeah. I think I would default to what you usually say about all of that. I mean, ultimately, we're not all going to be on the same page exactly.
So when am I going to do a collaboration video with Grand Thumb? We've spoken. We both want to do it, but we're both wildly crazy busy. Hopefully someday it'll happen, man, because he's been a big supporter of the channel. He's blowing up. He's going to pass me in short order in terms of subscribers, and so I would love to do a video with him. And hopefully we'll get that done. We've spoken about it. We both agreed to it. It's just we haven't set time.
Did you get to 1 million yet?
Nope. I mean, I'm watching everybody right now. Everybody in the gun community is trending down in subscribers. It's almost like they've instituted some new algorithm that's just further messing with us. Like if you take a look at a channel like Iraq Veteran, for example, he would do 1,000, 1,500 new subs a day. On average, I do 5 or 6. And now he's down to like 300 and I'm down to 2 or 150, and then it'll pop up to 500. And it's weird. And I go look at all the other popular channels and I see the same downward trend. They're running some sort of algorithm that's further messing with us.
Okay. And that's just on the gun side, right? The other sections of YouTube, are they going up, or is it like a summer slump?
I haven't really looked into it, to be honest with you. And I just looked at the trend with the gun guys. I mean, here's my little animation where you click the subscribe, and then there's this little bell that you can click, and that little bell will give you notifications when we post a new video, because YouTube will not send out notifications that we've posted new videos. So you actually have to subscribe and actually click that notification bell. Sometimes you'll find you've clicked the notification bell and then you stop getting notifications, you go back to my page, and lo and behold, it's unclicked for you. It's kind of like Instagram. I go through Instagram, and every day or every few days I'll see -1 on Social Blade, where I'm unfollowed pages. I don't unfollow anybody on Instagram. I haven't unfollowed a page in a year. But if you go back through, you'll see I'm unfollowing people randomly. And same thing's happening to us. I get comments all the time, and everybody's saying, "Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist." I'm like, "No, man. It's like you have this trend that's it just stops, and then it comes back up, and then it goes back down, and it comes back up." They got called out for it, and Instagram actually said there was a mistake. their algorithm was a little too aggressive in squashing us.
Yeah, we see
That was
this.
their only mistake.
We see this in the news all the time. There's all kinds of shenanigans going on. There was a company, I believe it's Genius. I'm just pulling this off the top of my head. You know, when you're listening to a song, you want to know the lyrics. I think Genius has specialized in putting out the lyrics, but Google was stealing that from them. And when they were like, Google, you're stealing our stuff, Google said, no, we wouldn't do that. So Genius put in Morse code on the periods of them writing out like what people, the lyrics. They put in a Morse code message and it showed up on Google.
Yeah.
That's how they proved it.
Google, I mean, we're off in the weeds here again, but Google's and Facebook, they've been looked at many times by Congress. So monopolies aren't technically illegal in the United States, but if you become a monopoly and there is no real competition and you start doing things like swaying the outcome of elections based upon your actions, you get treated differently and they can force a breakup. And so this is like the third or fourth time Google and Facebook have been looked at because they're definitely censoring. They claim that they want protection so they can't be sued for the content we post, but then they also they also want to be able to moderate. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too under U.S. law. So if you're going to moderate content, then you can be sued for the content you don't catch. So either give us free speech and stop moderating, or moderate and be liable for what we post.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's just U.S. law. And now you have, they're squashing us and they're promoting their left agenda. It's kind of funny. I was watching the news because Trump made his, 2020 bid announcement down in Florida, people waiting 40 hours to get in, absolutely packed. And once he made a negative comment about CNN, they blacked it out. They stopped coverage. MSNBC just stopped coverage. They're just like stopping coverage. And then it turns out that MSNBC is the only news channel that's going to be allowed to cover the Democratic first Democratic convention, or the Democratic convention coming up. And then they're going to have commentators like Al Sharpton and somebody else. I don't think it's Rachel Maddow, but somebody, like true journalists, right? They're not,
crazy
commentators or journalists. They're commentators, but they, C-SPAN and even CNN has been shut out. And so this is what happens with socialism. This is what happens when you give power to governments and individuals to govern your lives. You start seeing things like this, and that's why we fight so hard against it, man.
Yeah, I think
they're
the
going to
people
try to sway the outcome of. They're going to show the top runners. They're going to show, and I'm predicting this. They're going to show Biden and they're going to show Bernie Sanders, and they may show one other, but all of the other 20 odd people that are polling really low, they're not going to get as much airtime. They're trying to sway what the Democratic pick is going to be by going strictly to MSNBC.
Yeah. By the way, I think that this is what people should do, regardless of what side you're on. Obviously, we may be talking to folks on our side. Go out there, organize together, and do your own debates, and leave these guys out of it. You might find you'll get a bigger audience. You can do your own debates. They can even get together and do live debates like the way Mac and I are doing this. And I think that under a structure like that, maybe where they take questions from the folks who are tuning in and all that, more people are going to tune into that than this like show that MSNBC and these guys are putting on. Tap Rack Bang gave me a couple of bucks here. He says, why not live stream on your Hank Strange channel? So there's a couple of things with that. We switched away from the Hank Strange channel for doing it because they literally pulled us off the air once over there.
Midstream.
Yeah, midstream. They pulled us off the air, would not let me have access to that video. And then, there were things that happened, like they deleted that whole channel and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to split everything. I'm doing things over there. I'm doing just predominantly the podcast here on this channel. I also split off some other content that I'm making, but I wanted to split up those two things. Put the gun videos over there, have this here. So if they take one out, the other one's there. They've even gone after this channel. And so if they go after this, I could bounce back to Hank Strange. If they go after Hank Strange, I could bounce over here. Just seems to work out better. The harder part is getting everyone to realize, because I think I'm approaching 80,000 followers on Hank Strange. But like Max said, it's really hard, and it's particularly hard for me, having come in after Mac and a lot of other guys, right, into the game. They've just made it more and more difficult for us to grow. So like when they're stopping you, Mac, it makes it even more difficult for guys that are starting to do this now to grow.
Yeah.
Which
There's
think
some
you're
really
aware of
good
that.
folks out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always like Honest Outlaws, the guy that I watch, you and others that don't get the airtime. But keep in mind, when we started doing this 11 years ago, there weren't a whole lot of serious gun channels and content on YouTube. So it was easy for us to grow early on. Guys just coming in the last year or two, they have to claw their way to the top, but it can be done.
Yeah.
TGC News is growing very quickly because their unique content.
You have to focus on what you're doing. That's one of the things. If you're going to do this, you do have to focus, like TGC is doing, and lots of other guys out there are doing. Like narrow focus on what you do.
Somebody else. Try to do something unique.
Yeah.
And as hard as that may sound, you know. And so that's why you never see a tabletop review. I was never, I never wanted to do what Nut and Fancy was doing. I did my own thing. I don't even like saying what we do as reviews. The Gun Control Act 1968 were Democrats, very well may be, but it was also supported and partly written by the NRA. See, what bullet do I prefer per pigs? I like the 6.5 Grindle and the Hornady Black ammo. We've planted some big Hoss pigs with one shot. With the 6.5 Grindle. You
like the Grindle? What brand are you getting the Grindle? Is that I forgot the name of that. There was some guys importing the Grindle, or is that just really common right now?
Oh, the Grindle's really, really popular. Okay. Everybody's Federal loads for it. Okay. Hornady loads for it. The black ammo is what we've been using. I'm gonna try out some Federal here. And Federal does send us ammunition for free. So I mean it's the steel case stuff. Wolf is importing it.
Wolf, that's what I was thinking.
2 MOA, but it costs the same as 7.62 x 39.
Oh, okay.
So and it shoots about 2 MOA, so it's great practice ammo and it's great, sight-in ammo. And then you buy the more expensive stuff when you're going to go hunting or target shooting. It has twice or more the energy of 5.56. And we're going to go out tomorrow, shoot video of us shooting 6.5 Grindle to 1,000 yards out of an 18-inch AR-15. I've already done it, before, and we're going to do it again just to show you that it's a true 1,000-yard cartridge where 223 isn't. It may get a bullet out there, but it's just not accurate anymore.
Yeah. So
or it has no power.
Okay. One quick thing. Someone actually changed their name in the chat to Yeet Cannon.
Yeah, funny. It won't go away.
There's gonna be T-shirts. Boy, that's
so. I got asked, do I live in Washington State? I was stationed there at what was then called Naval Submarine Base Bangor. It's now Naval Submarine Base Kitsap, and I guarded nuclear weapons. I was a Security Force Marine.
Okay, cool. Yeet Cannon asked this question. He says, "Hey Hank, when Hangout Meets on Air is gone, do you know any alternatives?" I think we're going to have to develop some alternatives.
Yeah, we will. And we need to roll into the militia discussions because somebody else just said, point being that you cannot trust any political party. Bingo. Yeah. And that's why I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. They both screw us equally. And people need to stop this partisan politics because it's becoming so corrosive where, people are unfollowing family members because they voted for Trump or they voted for Biden or Hillary or whatever. And it's reached epic proportions in the news media where Fox and CNN are just polar opposites of each other, spewing propaganda, and neither one of them is telling the whole story or the truth, and the truth is somewhere in between. But they all have agendas, and and people. It's easy to say, "Well, I'm Republican, I love Fox. I'm a Democrat, I love CNN," but they're going into their camps. And there was a time in America, and I remember it when. Like the party of JFK, where it wasn't so caustic, it wasn't so corrosive, and Americans weren't ready to go to war over it. But we're reaching that level, I fear, based upon what I see, just like we were talking about MSNBC getting exclusive rights to the Democratic Convention. It has become so caustic and so corrosive and so dangerous right now. It's such a tinderbox that the Second American Civil War may be just around the corner. Yeah. I mean, people, it's just like there was huge divisions in this country in the 1860s, and by early 1865 it was 1860 it was reaching fever pitch, and then boom, it erupted into a civil war. And people think, oh, it'll never happen here. Really, civil wars have happened to first world countries before. Yeah. And so don't think it can't happen. And that's kind of, I guess, segueing into what we want to talk about next.
Yeah, there was a video that you shared with me, and there's other things going on out there that people are surmising this. Neither one of us is calling for anything like this. it's just something that's floating out there in the air because of this like psychosis, as Max said, that the media is putting on people, regardless of what side you're looking at it from. And then just things that are going on in reality that we all see so clearly. So the question I would ask with that is, like, do you think we're headed to civil war? And then the second part of that, what should people be doing out there to prepare for anything? At the same time, we understand like they have to live their lives, right?
Yeah, exactly. And my buddy Jim Nugent comes in with a big super chat. Thank you, brother. YouTube is definitely hell bent on destroying the platform. Yes, they are. It's like the more scrutiny that YouTube comes under, and the more fire they're receiving in the media on both sides of the aisle, they're like doubling and tripling down on stupid. They're deplatforming people at a faster rate, and despite the fact Congress is looking into them for doing it.
Yeah. So
it's crazy, but that's just part of this caustic. It's playing out in the media. It's playing out in social media. It's playing out with corporate giants, and it's playing out with individuals like us. It has become so dangerous that really you should be preparing for what may become the inevitable. Now, I do not want civil war. That is the last thing I want to see this country go through, because what we come out on the other end with now, like this video we were talking about, I'll pop it up here.
Yeah.
It's a YouTube video. It has 614,000 views, and basically it's an hour-long breakdown of left versus right in a second American Civil War. And I can tell you what the conclusion it comes to an hour later is that the right would win because they have all the guns, they have most of the military training, blah, 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 blah. But it's one of those things that I don't want my children to be exposed to, because it literally means you go to war with your next door neighbor. It's what happened in Kosovo and Serbia and when Yugoslavia fell off and they had their civil war. I mean, that was just in the late 90s when that went down. So and it was brutal, absolutely brutal. And so the same thing would happen here, and you may wind up neighbors would kill your kids or whatever, and it's just not something I want to see. I would hope that we could walk this back, and these news outlets and social media platforms would stop this divisionary tactics that they're using, trying to silence one group and promote the agenda of another, and get back to free civil discussion and exchange of ideas. But I mean, even in our own Congress, we can't get stuff we desperately need done because the Democrats will never do anything to give Trump bonus points. And when Obama was in office, the Republicans were never going to do anything positive to give Obama bonus points. So we have this constant do nothing, Congress.
Yeah.
That all they want to do is sit around and vote themselves raises, which they're doing currently.
Yeah. Do you think that that there's folks out there that are pushing for this because they think out of that they're going to get more control over us?
Well, so I think the people on our side of the argument, the gun people, think that we're naturally going to win any type of conflict. Therefore, we're going to reinstitute the original Constitution and Bill of Rights, and we're going to start fresh, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be, everything that was originally envisioned. But the reality is, even if we, the gun people, won that conflict, there's no guarantee we wouldn't wind up with a dictator. There's no guarantee we would ratify the original Constitution and Bill of Rights. There's no guarantees to any of that. And so to think that, we win, therefore we get everything that we think that we want, and everybody thinks something different, and a dictator comes to power, a military general that has it basically like Rome, that has the support of the most number of troops. A Negan, if that's a Walking Dead reference, that's a very, very likely scenario. So don't get too anxious for something like that, and try everything you can to avoid it. But on the other hand, prepare.
Yeah. I mean, also, we're always running the risk, and I think for anyone who hasn't looked at that video, I did pop it up on my screen. It's called Civil War II in America from, I think it's John Mark, if anyone wants to check it out. Good video to at least look at and think about it. It breaks it down. It seems to be, fairly level-headed. I don't know if I agree with all the conclusions that are drawn, but so here's one of the things he did talk about in there, and this is, to me, it's one of the variables. You don't know how that's going to go. If we really get into something like that, outside interference, China, Russia, they might come in, support one side or the other. Yeah. but that's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
And you don't know where
No.
that ends up and why they're doing it and all that kind of stuff and what deals they make with whoever they do it with. And there's lots of motivation for them to do that. Ultimately, not only are we a breadbasket, but we also represent, we consume a lot of what the world makes, I guess is a good way to say it, right? We're consuming
Yeah.
a good chunk of what the world makes. So there's lots of people out in the world that would like to get us locked down, and we have to think about all of this before we get into it. So what ways do you think people should, what are the basic things you think folks out there should be doing to prepare for this?
Well, first of all, Shannon did a super chat, and he says he's a former bubblehead, fast attack. That means he was on a boomer, he was on a fast attack sub, and it's been many years ago, but I want to say, was that Delta Pier? If you go to Google Maps, you can actually look at the installation. You actually see fast attack boats sitting there in that little triangle dock that they had pull up to, and then the Tridents actually are undercover out of satellite view. But anyway, so that's cool, man.
Yeah.
The submariners, that's definitely something I wouldn't want to do. I don't want to be in a boat that's designed to sink.
Yeah.
I'm much rather be on land, let people shoot at me.
Yeah, let me get to a couple of super chats before you do this. Some of this is not relative, but let's get to it quick. Crackbot gave us a couple of bucks. He wants to know what we like best, 6.5 Grendel or 224V. I don't know enough about either one. I have shot the 6.5 Grendel. I think I would have to refer to Mac on that one. I don't get into the super exotic rounds as much. I wait until Mac has made it mainstream, and then I think about it. So that's how I get that.
I'm a 6.5 everything. So if I'm going after bigger game, or even prairie dogs, I like 6.5 Creedmoor. 6.5 Grendel fits into it, what I call a short action AR. It's not an AR-10 size. We have long action ARs, mid action, which is kind of a hybrid between an AR-10 and an AR-15. They have tapered buffer tubes and are bolt carriers that go into a standard M4 buffer tube versus what would be a traditional 308 buffer tube. And then we have the just standard AR-15. The 6.5 Grendel fits into a 6.5 pound rifle, and it gives you the energy you need to cleanly harvest game 500 yards,
Okay.
And there's no additional recoil to speak of, and it's just an incredible performer, and it has a lot more power than 5.56 with the same overall length, and it works out of standard AR-15 magazines with a follower change.
Okay. And then
well, maybe it might be a little bit more than a follower change, but it's a standard Stenag looking magazine that works. So we use 6.8 magazines, and they seem to work the best with the 6.5 Grendel.
Okay. And then another quick one, Siphoned Anomaly says, do you think separation might be a possible solution before civil war, i.e. let states become independent countries with their own agendas in mind? So we can maybe try to get to this before we go to what the basics are of what people should do.
Yeah. So I've always, I think we brought this up in a stream before. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say a state can't secede from the Union, and it wasn't settled during the Civil War because they didn't amend the Constitution afterwards. So, and I try not to be hypocritical. When Trump got elected, California wanted to secede from the Union. I fully support their secession. Texas has had a long secessionist movement. They want out, and I support them. If they have the votes to do it and they want to leave, leave. That's optional. The federal government shouldn't be able to tell the states what to do. It goes back to an issue of states' rights. I don't agree with the reasons why California wants to leave, but if that's what they want to do, goodbye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people say, no, man, you got to have the union and all this other stuff. Not if it means it's going to cost us a civil war.
Yeah.
I would rather have, because eventually, if they did secede, I think we would merge back together once the radical factor dwindled and cooler minds prevailed. We would come back together. We would still be the United States of America. It might be a little bit different there for a while, but eventually we would come back together.
Yeah, I think some of those very liberal states that seceded would basically go bankrupt, and we wouldn't have to bail them out.
Right, and then they'd finally maybe see the error of their ways and stop with the craziness. Right?
Yeah, like when you kick your
there's
kids
no such
out.
thing as free money, so quit giving away free services.
Yeah. So a quick thing in here that I want to ask you. So I had this guy, his name is Adam Kokesh, Marine. I don't know whether or not you heard of him, but he's running on the Libertarian Party for president in 2020. He was on, and his plan when he becomes president, I've noticed he's been on Fox. He was on Judge Napolitano's show, but basically when he becomes president, he says he's going to dismantle the government. That's his first act. He said it's going to take him about 10 years. And he's going to start dismantling the government.
I lived through and voted for Ross Perot, and he got 19% of the vote as a libertarian. If you watch any of the major news networks when a libertarian runs, they get no coverage. And when they do the commentary afterwards, they don't even talk about the third party. The binary party system, until we force change, is here, and we need a viable third, even fourth party, because the two-party system, several of our founding fathers warned us against it, and sure as hell, it's ripping this nation apart. You take a look at the kind of wild parliamentary system that the British have. One thing they have is diversity and constant change. There's at any time they can hold a vote of no confidence and get rid of a prime minister and bring in a new one, and there's multiple parties, and you know what I mean. It's a different system, but similar system to our republic. But we need to stop this forced binary system on us, and we need to have viable other parties, and that's one massive change that could occur, where it would definitely benefit our nation as a whole, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you think that there's like some way we could decentralize voting? And what I mean by that is, I think that there's, you can't trust the different states and cities and all that when it comes to voting. Is there maybe a way that using current technology, we could decentralize this and get a better vote? Maybe not necessarily changing the, like the Electoral College and all that, but making it more secure.
So that's the scary part. I don't think this current generation fully. Well, first of all, most of the current generation think we live in a democracy, and we don't, and we never have, and God willing, we never will. We have a constitutional republic, and our founding fathers purposely set the Electoral College up so that smaller states weren't left out of the election process. Because if we didn't have Electoral College and it was just purely mob rules, then all the big population centers like Los Angeles, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Austin, all those huge population centers that tend to lean one way politically would then have complete rule. We would never see a conservative, right-leaning administration ever again, and that's why the Democrats want it, because it would secure their socialist agenda for the foreseeable future, which ultimately would destroy the United States. So we got to have the Electoral College, but I don't think this current generation is being taught the importance of the Electoral College. They're being taught it's an antiquated system. It needs to go away, and the popular vote, aka mob rules democracy, is the way forward. And that means you'll never see a president campaign or a candidate campaign in Iowa ever again, or Oklahoma or Kansas. They'll go to New York. They'll go to Los Angeles. They'll go to anywhere. Pick a big city. That's the only places they'll go, because that's all they have to do to get the votes, and it'll guarantee one party victory forever. Yeah,
that's somewhat what they do now. I guess what I was kind of going towards is, should we modernize the way that's happening? Because there's lots of corruption, and there's certain places where people get to come in and mess with it. We see that here all the time in Florida. Is it maybe time to modernize it, make it safer, and get it out of the hands of these bureaucrats that are always messing around with things, right? And then the next thing you know, in Florida, we have hanging chads, and then the people aren't really represented. So
one super chat said, I believe if the libertarians come up with a viable way to get their message out, they will win the election. Get this, we have a viable way to get our message out. It's called social media, and the media giant that's left-leaning is squashing us. Media giants, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, they're purposely squashing our voices. So that is our outlet. That's how we can win elections. But they're purposely and with malice squashing us and promoting their leftist agenda.
They know what we did the last time. That's why.
Right. Yeah. They did. They and a Facebook, through manipulation of posts and what's popular and what's not based on their algorithms, they can sway the outcome of an election. And that's too much power for any corporation to have.
Yeah. When was it 2013 Fire Armageddon? right? That's when we were in the heat of the firearm again back in 2013.
Pick one. There's been several.
Yeah.
That's probably the most recent.
Yeah. So I think they realized then, man, that guys like you, Hickok, Yankee Marshall, people that we've talked about today, those guys got lots of people activated. They help to get those people activated, and they want to make sure next time around that those guys aren't able to do it, and anyone else who's in the game that doesn't agree with them is not, those people aren't able to do it either.
And there's a lot more voices like you and we like shooting and a bunch of other voices out there now that are very politically active that have come on the scene. But again, we're actively being squashed. Mm-hmm. And I'll guarantee you this video is going to get demonetized very quickly. And heck, because of the content that we're talking about here, they'll probably say something we've said is hate speech, and therefore it'll be, we'll get an account strike and have the video deleted. Mm-hmm. I mean, who knows? But that's what they do. And they deplatform. And so we always have to live in fear that if we say something that they don't agree with politically, they'll deplatform us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we should I do want to get to that question because I'm sure people out there would like to hear from you what you think we should be doing to get ready every day. Here's the thing that I think, man. The emergencies that come up, there's kind of a scale. There's these small emergencies that happen to us locally, like within our own families, ourselves, or whatever, and then that scales up to something massive happening nationally or in our state. Like I'm here in Florida where I think we're in hurricane season right now. I'm not sure.
We're definitely in a tornado season.
Yeah, you guys
ripping through the Midwest. For a month now.
So, I think on that scale, I know there's a scale there. That's what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't fit for everyone. But what do you think are the basic things people need to do?
So, I mean, some of the basic stuff that I have is long-term storage food. You can buy 30-year dry food buckets and put enough of that stuff away and make sure that you maintain it. In a lifetime, you have to buy it 3 times ideally, right? Mm-hmm. So maintain that food supply, always have potable water, access to it, or a way to get access to it. So have a filtration system. We have rain buckets that are massive sitting outside of our runoff from our roof that we can turn into potable water. We live on a pond, so we purposely did all that. And of course, we have a plan with all of our friends and family members. If something goes wrong, we're going to meet here, and there's safety in numbers. And I mean, all those things, it's just common sense, practical things you can do. You don't have to go like the 80s survivalist movement and make it a lifestyle, but you can do practical things. I have access to body armor that I put away. I have access to plenty of ammunition I've put away. I have firearms stored all over the place. So no matter what happens or when things go sideways, I'm always traveling with some sort of a long arm or a pistol with a brace on it, a handgun on me, and I'm always able to get to something else except when I'm really far away. And that's what makes you nervous, and I carry even more stuff with me. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm down in Florida, I carry a lot of extra stuff, a get-home bag, if you will, so I can try to fight my way back home to my family. If need be. If
you get in trouble in Florida, man, if you're close to Gainesville, I got you.
A couple of hurricanes. Yeah. They came, they are ripping up towards the coast, and so I've seen the panic. I've seen the bare shelves. I've seen no gas. People waiting in line. I've seen it firsthand. But I've never ridden out a hurricane. I grew up in Kansas, and we had F5 and F4 tornadoes that would come through, and they're having them now that just are wiping out entire towns. Up north where I live, if we get F1s, F2s, they're basically little twisters that'll rip the roof off your house, or, they're not nearly as powerful. They're not a mile wide with 170 mile an hour winds. They'll drop down, mangle a bunch of trees, and knock roofs trees over on houses and rip roofs off, and that's about it. Very rarely do you find tornadoes causing fatalities up here, knocking out the power grid. In the true Midwest, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, that area, Nebraska, you're going to see F4, F5 tornadoes rip through for a mile or two. They'll be on the ground. They'll be a mile wide, and they really devastate things. But hurricanes, I think, are probably one of the most powerful forces in nature. That and the cascading power failure that you and I were talking about, that just happened. It started as a boo-boo, I think, in Canada, and that cascaded down to, this is after 9/11. You were actually caught up in it in a little bit, where the entire eastern seaboard of the United States went dark, no power for days. And that type of stuff you better be prepared for, because you got 3 days of food stores not getting resupplied and things like that before total chaos and anarchy take over. And we saw that in Katrina, where we saw police officers. They're not even doing policing duties anymore. In uniform, they're looting with the rest of the looters at Walmart for food for their families. Government breaks down. I mean, after hurricanes and power outages, you better be able to have the ability to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have food and water.
I think that, and then we were discussing this a little bit off air, I think that people who maybe grew up in the rural areas or places like you did or I did, I grew up a little bit. I was born in Guyana, third world country, South America. I did live in England for a little while, but I also lived in Nigeria and went through a lot of blackouts and things like that. If you grow up like that, in your brain, you can fathom what it is. So when things go wrong, you could think about it. The problem is if you always lived in a city like New York City, and that happens, your brain can't even process what's happening to you.
That's one reason I can never live in a city like that, because what do you do when everything breaks down? Public transportation's gone, power's out, all the food within hours will be stripped from the shelves of local stores. And then you're going to have roving gangs that are going to form that are looking, to take what they need for themselves. And you're going to see the Negans start to pop up again, a Walking Dead reference. I mean, it's a natural order of things. Yeah. And people will take from people that are, either incapable, unable, handicapped, whatever, of defending or protecting themselves. They're going to get taken advantage of, and that's just the way of the world, unfortunately. So you better have a plan. I'll never live in a big city. Yeah,
good to visit, but don't stay there too long. Town. Yeah, I think that like places like New York City, especially the older cities, they're in big trouble. They don't have good infrastructure. They don't have good drainage. So for example, here in Florida, since I've lived here, I've gone through a couple of Category 5s directly hitting the house I was living in.
Wow.
Now
I wouldn't want to ride that one out, man.
Yeah, my kids were really young at the time. And that's what made us move from, like, at that time we were living in West Palm Beach. So I moved to higher ground. That's why I live where I do now, a lot higher. West Palm Beach is below sea level. Not a good idea. That's what happened in Katrina. But, if New York City gets hit with a Category 1 or a storm that rides the coast and then it gets to New York City and just dumps a heavy amount of rain, you're going to get flooding in the subway tunnels, so no transportation, flooding in the streets. You're going to get the power grid going down, all of this stuff that you're talking about. Manhattan specifically, right, it's an island. And once things start happening there, you're in big trouble. When 9/11 happened, I was living in New Jersey. My family was in New York. That was an insane thing to think. Like my younger brother was a teacher in the Bronx, and he had to walk back home on the east side. I think it was either the east or west side highway. He had to walk all the way from the Bronx back to Brooklyn.
Wow.
In order to
That's a long walk, unarmed and uncertain times.
Yeah, and not knowing what's going on. And even today, if you look at New York City, I mean, I don't know. I think he did that whole walk. I don't want to say he didn't. I don't want to I could be wrong. I know he did a huge part of that. At least he had to just walk it, right? But there was no traffic. Yeah. You couldn't drive or anything like that. And even today in New York City, recently when they had this guy in a helicopter that crashed into one of the buildings. Every time people in New York City see something like that, they go into panic mode.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Like, I remember going to New York City a couple of days after 9/11, and there were tanks everywhere and soldiers and stuff like that. And most of the people in New York City just could not handle that. And I think it was weird for me because I lived, for example, when I lived in Nigeria, whenever Nigeria worked properly, it was run by the military, which is kind of ironic.
I know, right?
So... I was kind of used to it, and I think I think that's the big thing for a lot of people being prepared. I agree with everything that you're saying to get prepared, but I think a lot of people just not mentally prepared for what's going to happen.
No, I don't think anybody's mentally prepared for something like that. You just don't know what to expect. That's one reason I live in a small town. I mean, it's a little bit more practical. People are more friendly. They'll come together naturally. Mm-hmm. We don't have to worry about the angry hordes. Now I'm 45 minutes from Chicago, and once all resources are exhausted there, they're going to move outwards and they'll make their way to us, and that's when things are going to get nasty for us. I'd like to get further away from Chicago if I could, and big cities, but you have to balance that. Having children, having access to, food stores and,
you gotta move
hospitals
around.
And, things like that, even small to medium-sized cities have, being totally rural, you better have ways to feed yourself, gardens and what livestock, and ways to make potable water, if not a well, and things like that, because you're really on your own.
Yeah.
And you will find roving bands looking for taking stuff from you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I just want to give a shout out to Big Red Doggy. He did a $20 super chat. Wants us to check out Matt Christensen, a sensible guy. He's does political commentary, very pro 2A.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it was great meeting me at Copper a few years ago. Thanks, man, and thank you for the support.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
man, I think people just need to make practical decisions. To a certain degree, it is a lifestyle. One thing that I've become accustomed to, one of the super chats previously, is like, when did I start carrying? I started carrying the minute I could. So once I got home, and even though, so let me say it again, I was carrying probably before it was legal to do so.
Uh-huh.
And then when it became legal for me to do, I did, and I've been carrying it pretty much my entire adult life. First, I would say, gosh, I'm trying to remember back to my very, very first handgun. 1911 would have been my first carry gun, in 45 ACP, Colt, government model. Then I think the Glock 19 came on the scene, and that was the one I carried the longest. There were several: Beretta, 92, SF, 1911,
right.
And then the Glock 19 came on the scene. I fell in love with it because it was the right size and capacity, and then handguns that size have stuck with me, like the CZP01.
Right. You went through. I remember I saw you go through your Glock divorce.
Yeah, I still love Glocks. I mean, I have a lot of them. I mean, there's one sitting here. Mm-hmm. On my desk. I mean, I have lots of Glocks, and now they have that 40 MOS out there, that 10 millimeter long slide. I'm drooling over. We have one at Copper. It's just trying to scrape the pennies together to buy it.
You can't buy your own thing.
Take it and hide it.
You can't get high off your own supply, Mac. You got to sell this stuff.
No, believe me, my business partner reminds me of that all the time. It's like, we are in the business of selling guns, not collecting them. So
yes.
No, you have it.
That's no soup for you. No soup for you. You got to sell some of those things. Are those difficult to come by?
I have a great business partner, man. I couldn't ask for a better business partner. Dave, if you've ever met him at Copper Custom, man, He is salt of the earth and a great dude to be in business with.
Yeah, I met him at SHOT Show. I actually need to come out and visit you sometime at Copper Custom. Are you gonna?
Yeah, man, you got to come out. Let's do some videos, because I'm always going south. You need to come north, man.
Yeah. Are you gonna do some stuff there, or it's gonna have to be in the not winter time? I can just tell you that.
Now we're moving into July, August. It's going to be comfortable weather for you, which is just hot as all hell, and the humidity. And I mean, for us, it's like the worst 3 months of our lives. And then we go into fall, and I think most of us Northerners like fall and spring, and we just endure winter. I'd rather be cold than hot. Mm-hmm. I can layer up for the cold. For the heat, I can't strip down enough legally in most states to get cool, right?
We don't want to see you in those little short shorts, man.
No, you don't.
That's not a good look.
Right now, I'm pasty ass white, and it's not pleasant. Seeing me in shorts is not. First of all, you're going to be flash blinded, but once you get past that, it's not something that's. I don't know why my wife stays married to me, to be honest with you.
I have to deal with people here in Florida, man. They like to wear short shorts. And not everyone should do that.
Dude, I used to be big into scuba diving, right? I'd go down to Florida with my buddy Mike, and we would, and even my buddy Aaron, and we would do scuba diving, and one of the things that just cracked me up is when the Europeans would get on the dive boats. Mm-hmm. This French guy, it's burned in my mind, and this has been several decades ago. This guy had to be 300 pounds, and he was wearing a Speedo, like the most minimal Speedo, and he was so proud of himself walking around, basically like a nudist, right?
And was one of his little jubblies hanging out of that Speedo?
What's that?
Was one of his little jubblies hanging out of that Speedo?
Pretty much. I mean, it was straight up banana hammock. It was
terrible. Gosh.
I just wanted to get in the water. I'd rather drown than stay on the boat with that guy. It's like, dude, the other side of the boat, man. It's like.
I used to see that in Miami all the time, man. The tourists come in Miami, and then the ones from Europe think it's real super sexy to have on a Speedo and walk around
I'm glad. I don't think Speedos are a thing anymore. Maybe they are in other places in the world, but here they're not. I don't think anymore.
Yeah, not a good look.
So,
not a good look.
I got asked by a super chat. Do I think that our school systems are trying to turn our children against the Second Amendment? Absolutely. I know they are in my school system because I had to have a conversation with one of my teachers for one of my children. She came to me after I was in pickup line, and she came up to me when I picked up my son, and she goes, "I just wanted you to say that your son was doing this in class." And I said, "Stop right there. Don't you ever tell my child that this is a bad thing. And if you think you have a problem, call me and I'll come get him. But you're not going to tell my child this is a bad thing, because you know what he's going to do when I get him home. He's going to pick up a Nerf gun. He's going to go outside and he's going to play with the neighbor, and they're going to run around the yard shooting Nerf guns at each other. And then probably on Saturday, I'm going to take him shooting. So you're not going to teach my child that this or firearms are a bad thing. It's a constitutionally." And she just got like, "Oh, I don't mean to be offensive." I said, "Well, then good.
Yeah.
Don't ever say that
Then
to me
don't.
again. Don't ever discipline my child because he does this."
Yeah.
That is not a threat to anybody.
Yeah.
When the child is 5 years old.
Yeah. You can't even, you know what? I never pointed my sons towards guns. So when they were that age and we took them to, remember Toys R Us used to exist back in the days?
Yeah. Oh, believe me, dude. I remember Toys R Us when I was a kid, and it was only in California. It was like, wow.
Yeah. But we would take them to places, even let's say it's Walmart and they were getting toys. I would never say to them, "Oh, try out this gun." I would just let them pick out whatever it is they wanted,
Yeah.
I don't care if they came to me with some cute little doll or whatever. It didn't really matter to me. No, my boys went straight for the guns.
That's cool. My boys do
single
too.
time.
I have one of my boys is definitely into firearms. You'll see him on Instagram. The other is more into archery, so I'm taking him to archery. I think he's just wanted to be different than his big brother, and then the other one's too young to care. One super chat I want to address. Tim, in preparing for unrest, would you stockpile calibers of ammo or focus on one handgun and one rifle caliber? Guys, simplicity is everything, and pick the most common caliber you can possibly find. So I would say 9mm and 5.56.
I thought you were a fan. I thought you were a fan of.
For a long time, I was an AK guy simply because the AK had plenty of ammo, and I wasn't going to rely on others. And I'm not one of those guys that's like, well, I could just pick up the ammunition and parts off a dead soldier. It's like, don't ever count on anything. You better count on being self-sufficient. Don't count on. It's not like you're going to go, I have an AR-15, so I'm going to take, my firing pin went bad, so I'm going to take the M16 apart of this dead soldier and make my AR-15 work again. You're going to throw that broken AR-15 to the side, pick up that M16 A2 or M4 carbine, and that's your new gun. You're not going to be swapping parts. And I still believe that the AK is a type of firearm that you throw in the back of a vehicle and just forget it's there until you need it. And the AR-15 is more of a first world weapon. Simple maintenance is all it's required, but I'm demonstrating to people. So I'm a longtime AR-15 fan. Grew up shooting them as my first centerfire rifle. I love the gun. I got on an AK kick when Russian guns became available, and I ran an AK for a long time. But then that kind of wore off, and I realized, look, 5.56 and Stanag magazines and 9mm where it's at. If things go sideways, that's first of all, if you have huge caches of it, not only is it going to serve you for, your own defense, but that's going to have, it's going to be worth its weight in gold in trade. So if you have ammo and you need food, you can always trade ammo for food, and vice versa, right? So ammunition I stockpile, but I believe in 5.56 and 9mm, and that's what I do.
Okay, 5.56 9mm. Okay, very cool. I don't know if there's any other things. Do you want to show some guns? I'm sure you have some cool guns there that if we don't get to it, it'll be. I know I had something here. Okay.
We're coming up on 2 hours. Go ahead and show off. I'm looking for something here.
Yeah.
Oh, are you going to show it?
Here's what I'm going to show. Today? Yeah. Whenever Mac Mac is like, he's the king of the bullpups, but I'm coming for the throne. I'm trying my best. So here's my X95, and I thought, okay, yeah, I know what you're going to show now. Go ahead.
All right, so we were like, hey man, we were showing off our various firearms, and so I did the same thing. We both pulled them up at the same time. It's like this is my SBR X95. Yeah. The only reason I don't have it in the Jeep with me is because the rack I have won't fit it. It's too thick right here, okay. I may have to modify my rack just so I can have my baby with me at all times.
What's your setup on that? Of course, you've got the SBR one. I know. I'm
So
drooling
yeah, it's
over that.
SBR. I have an enforced light on top, which I can easily access with my long gangly hands. I can easily get the thumb up there and turn the light on.
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay.
Blind you guys.
Yeah.
And so that works for me, being right there. I have the M5 sight on it, but if I were to actually carry it, it would be an aim point.
Okay.
Um, so
Yeah.
I just have that on there because it looks, really good on the gun. It was, it's
Yeah.
kind of,
No,
they're
that
both
looks.
Israeli products. They kind of go together, but realistically, I'm an aim point guy.
Yeah. So I've got Trijicon on mine, and then
Trijicon, another great brand. Big fan
Yeah.
of MROs.
and then I've got an Olight on there. You know, I like the rechargeability of
Just
the Olights.
See, I don't like rechargeable batteries.
No?
Hate 'em.
Oh, okay.
I want AA, double A. So, like, if you take a look at my carry flashlight, this little guy here, it's just a little stream light, and the model number is really, really long. So it's a ProTech 1L-1AA. And the reason I love this light is because it uses double A's, triple A's, and those are things you're going to find anywhere. And most of them, if you get them in packaging, you can stockpile them, and in their packaging, they'll last 10, 15 years
Yeah.
and hold a charge. And you're going to find them everywhere. You're not always going to be able to find a power source to do a rechargeable light.
Yeah.
And I found that rechargeable batteries lose their effectiveness over time. And I'd just rather be able to stop at any gas station or Quickie Mart or trade 20 rounds of ammunition for a pack of triple A's or double A's.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. Or CR123s. I have a bunch of lights that work on those. Yeah.
to a lesser degree. I would
okay.
still, but it's a more modern battery, and keep in mind, somebody told me that the double A or triple A was designed like almost 100 years ago. So
I
we
believe
definitely
that.
need more modern batteries.
Yeah.
But
I believe
with
that.
lithium ion being common now, they really have a long service life. And then you have optics like the like aim point and even primary arms now with literally you can leave the sight on, which I do on my go to war rifle. I just leave my aim point on in a mid setting, and I just change the batteries every 4 or 5 years. So the battery is going to go bad before that sight draws enough energy to deplete the battery, and that's why I hate tritium. Tritium was awesome in the 90s until we had the electronics. So when that Trijicon goes bad, if it's a tritium sight, you have to send that off to Trijicon. They send it back. You got another 10 years. Well, I can get 10 years of service life out of 2 batteries, CR3022. So I'm going to go with batteries. Tritium, that was 1990s tech. Batteries and good circuitry are 2000s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my opinion.
No, it's a
Worth
lot
it,
more
paid for
efficient.
it.
Yeah, it's a lot more efficient. I completely understand where you're coming from. Let me see. I've got some other things here that I want to share. I don't know if you've. Let me see. I could probably go full screen on me here. So I think you've heard of the minis. This is from they're calling themselves RW Mini, or it was ATI Mini. Basically, this is an AR-15 in flat dark earth. You could put it together. It's got like the charging handle works right there. You could pull the trigger. The stock works. You could change things. It's got a suppressor on it and all that. But here's something I thought was really cool, man. 1911. So are you or
That's
are you
cool.
not a
That's
1911 fan?
Oh, I mean, that's as American as baseball and apple pie. I love 1911s. I have many, and huge fan of the 1911.
Yeah.
Is it the most reliable gun on the planet? No, it's not. But I carried one. Long story short, my commanding officer back in the day of our security force detachment had pretty much autonomy. I mean, he was oftentimes out of uniform. He'd wear a kilt to the Marine Corps ball with dress blue upper, blouse. It was his decision on what we carried. So he told us Marines don't carry 9mm. Marines carry 45s, and so we were 1911 carriers, even when the rest of the fleet was the FMF was using the M9, which they had adopted, in the mid 80s. We were still using the good old 1911 with its sloppy, rattly. I mean, hey, we easily qualified with them. So yeah, I'm a fan. I like the 1911.
So these are
and the Marines are still using them. I mean, you'll still find MARSOC and stuff using them.
Absolutely. So these are coming out just to give you scale here. There's my hand. That's how small that is. You can lock back the slide and all of that, and you can release it. You got the trigger. You could pull the trigger down. Magazine comes out. Let me see if I can get the magazine's already out. I have it. Oh, here it goes. Yeah. So here's the little magazine. It's got rounds in it.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, so you can put those in
Yep,
there.
I want one.
Yeah, so this is actually a prototype, but RW Minis is coming out with this pretty soon. You'll be able to change your grips in time. I think they did pretty good with this, you know?
No, that looks really good.
Yeah.
I have a couple of the goat guns. I bought
Yeah.
the SVD and I bought the AK-74, and I put them together. They're on display here at Copper. I just wanted to see the quality of them. They're really cool.
Yeah, this is going to be nice when it comes out. I would like to see them do some bullpups, since we're bullpup guys.
Hey, for those of you guys that served at Naval Submarine Base Bangor, if you remember Lieutenant Colonel Egan, he was our CO. You'll know who he was if you ever had a chance to meet him. He's quite the character.
The guy that made everyone.
I run into guys that one of our Patreons I've become friends with. He served there for a while. He came and we hung out and we swapped stories of what it was like back in the day during the Cold War and what it's like now and stuff like that. So
how did you have your 1911 set up? Was it?
Oh, they were just strict. World War II 1911s, dude. We didn't do anything to them.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like MARSOC. We weren't cool guys. We didn't have all the cool stuff that the fast teams and you know. And back in those days, there wasn't a such thing as special forces in the Marine Corps. Closest you'd find to be scout snipers, you know, or force recon.
Okay.
Like what Travis Haley did. So.
Okay. One thing I've been meaning to ask you, I don't know whether you have one or not, the carbine that you're coming out with. What can you tell us about that? The Copper Custom.
Not much. We posted pictures of it. It's in production. It's being manufactured, and we will be posting video and stuff about it here very, very soon. It seems like everybody's jumping in that game right now. So, yeah, we'll showcase that thing here very soon.
Okay.
Pricing is yet to be determined, but it is listed on the Copper Custom website. You can go by, check it out, see what the specs are, and compare it to what the other companies are out there. They're putting stuff out. I think you'll like what we've done.
Okay. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. It uses Glock magazines, so.
It does use Glock magazines.
Yeah, I saw that.
Why not, man? It's like the most common magazine out there, and you can buy them very, very affordably, and they're generally good mags.
Yeah.
Even the aftermarket mags. Magpul even makes mags for them now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's that's the way to go, in my opinion. This is probably a little bit off the thing, but do you think that Glock has a carbine somewhere in their safe that they don't want to share with the rest of us?
It's like the standing joke, man. It's like the old saying, like, that'll happen when pigs fly. Yeah, that'll happen when the Glock carbine comes out.
Yeah.
Glock refuses to innovate, and people go, well, what could they innovate? You just give them a hard time, dude. They've made the same damn gun for 35 years.
Yeah.
You want to see innovation? There's a company that innovates. Their quality control sucks, and their leadership is completely screwed. But there are companies that innovate, and this was an innovation. This thing would have been the new standard for discreet carry. The P365 won me over, man. I was madly in love with this gun until mine quit working. My first one at 800 rounds, my second one at 400 rounds. I bought a third one, didn't do anything with it, fired a few rounds, traded it, and this one we will be doing extensive testing with. And this one was made in May of 2019, so it's only a few weeks old. And even if this thing passes 2,000 rounds of 9mm, which is probably what I'm going to put through it, I'm still going to throw it in a drawer somewhere. I'm never going to carry it again because even to this day, you get on any of the forums, there are people having problems with the damn things and just over and over and over again. It's the same stuff. So it's sad because its magazine is patented and truly innovative. The size of it, it feels good, great sights, awesome recoil impulse. I did a live stream on Instagram, and it ran everything. We were putting frangible bullets into hollow points, flat nose, cheap, steel case. And I'm live streaming this down at Terre Haute at Top Guns. And I'm like, guys, this thing is awesome. I bought a little sticky holster, carried it through the entire NRA show in Dallas, drove to Dallas, and drove back carrying that thing as my defensive handgun because I thought I had wrung it out at Top Guns, and it literally failed me at 800 rounds.
And I think that I know Babyface has one, and he hasn't had any issues. And we also got one in.
Like
it's a weird thing, right?
Yeah, it works great until it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the chances I would get two defect, and they failed in two different ways? And if you get on the internet, it's very common. There are companies selling titanium and tool steel strikers for a reason, because the guns break strikers. They break reset springs on the trigger. That's what broke on my first one.
And there's no way to know like what round count you're getting to before that happens.
You don't know,
right?
dude. It could be 300 rounds. It could be 3,000 rounds. But in my opinion, it's inevitable. Most of them are going to fail because the quality control sucks. The gun is awesome. I wish Glock had made that. If Glock made that gun, they would have totally gutted that market.
Yeah, but they don't want to. Yeah.
SIG innovated. They just can't produce it properly.
Yeah. That's
In my
always the
humble
balance.
opinion.
Yeah, no, that's always the balance. It's not just in guns, it's a lot of different things. Like, we do camera stuff. I see that in the camera world. They refuse to make cameras for YouTubers. They make these super expensive cameras with a bunch of stuff we don't need and the things we need. They don't want to make it affordable. And I talk to them. I actually go to broadcasting shows and I'm like, what's up with you guys? Why can't you just make like cameras for YouTubers? And they're like, because we don't have to. So what else? Deal with it. And it's like, okay, if someone's going to come along and do it, and now the question becomes, how well does that person do it, right? If they do it well enough, they'll put those guys out of business, and then those guys will be chasing them. So that's the way that usually happens.
Well, they got a patent on that tiny little 10-round magazine. That's what makes that gun everything tiny. But beyond that, the ergonomics are spot on. The sights are great. It shoots well. It's extremely accurate. Most people have good experiences with it while they're working. It's made by SIG.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on the MPX. I'll do a video on that.
I think I like it. I think it is accurate. I agree with you. I don't like the way the trigger feels, but it's fine. But it feels weird to me.
Trigger snob.
No, I'm not. I never changed triggers.
Snob.
It feels weird. Okay, that trigger doesn't feel weird to you.
Dude, you're talking to a guy that blew away. We were out with out at Iraq veterans, and we were shooting at a mile, and we were shooting with what they call extended long range. So I'll just call them ELR guys. Mm-hmm. And we went to 1,000 yards to shoot our 308s. His SCAR 20 versus my H&K LRP. Mm-hmm. And the HK's trigger is just god awful. It's a standard military trigger, 8.5 creepy, cruddy, nasty trigger, where the SCAR has a Geisley really good trigger in it. Mm-hmm. But I was out shooting the SCAR 20 with my LRP with its nasty trigger because I'm used to using nasty military triggers. And the ALR guy sat down with the gun and they were just blown away that I could just keep hitting that 1,000-yard ringer and with that trigger because they're used to their, Timonees and whatnot. Even my DTA triggers, on the SRSs are amazing triggers, and I'm hitting with this nasty long gritty nasty pull, and I'm whacking away at it. It's like, so I don't need a really really nice trigger on a gun like the Glock. I never put a ghost disconnector in there or anything. I'm used to the nasty trigger of the Glock, and I can shoot them well.
Yeah, I don't really change triggers like that unless I'm doing it like someone wants me to see what this trigger's like or that trigger. But I find that it's weird. It's got like a weird plasticky feel.
We're rolling up on 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Can we get like one... Someone here wants me to ask you whether you guys are still selling the Charger braces.
The yeah. We have them in stock. At Copper Custom. It should be up on the website. We still have the Charger braces, absolutely.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yep.
If you want to wrap this up, we can start wrapping it up.
How do I like Forgotten Weapons? Love Forgotten Weapons. I was promoting them when I was surprised they had so few subs back in the day, and we started promoting them and stuff, and other people started taking notice. I'm not saying that I blew them up. That's not what happened, but I started watching more of their videos, and when we started up Full 30, we tried to get them over there, get them exposure, and they start up in range. They just do amazing stuff, and Ian is just, and even Carl on in range. I mean, they're just really really knowledgeable dudes. I wish I had the ability to read something like Ian does and store it and just do a big one long take video and talk about the entire history of a firearm like he does. I mean, the guy
special abilities,
has a bigger brain than me.
Yeah, special abilities, and they're doing something different. I think everyone should try if they can to do something different. It makes it more interesting and enjoyable for people. Let's see. I think there's a couple things going on here, but I'm just trying to see if we don't get to your questions and stuff like that, guys, we're probably going to do this next week.
Next week I'm out doing a family thing. I'm going to go see my mom and be a good son.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so I won't be able to stream next week.
Yeah, so after that.
The week after that.
Yes, after that we'll be doing it. Okay, so maybe let's start wrapping it up here. We can let folks know, maybe for my benefit, you can let the folks looking at this know how to get in touch with you, support you, follow you on social media. I would like to see you hit that 1 million so that we can blow up the plaque that comes.
Give it about a year.
Yeah.
It was blowing up there, and then they changed the algorithms, and now it's going to take a year to get there. But Yeah, it's just militaryarmschannel.com, or just if you know how to spell Sturmgewehr in the plural, not the singular with the E on the end, that's another way to find me. Most people just type in military arms into Google, and it's like the first 10 pages. And then we are 100% viewer supported. Patreon is how we fund and how we keep going forward. We have no corporate sponsors or anything like that. We've gone the basically the forgotten weapons route and the in-range TV route, and we're 100% viewer supported, and we're just trying to do that, be a little bit different, so we take no industry money whatsoever. So
yeah, and then folks can come down to Copper Customs also.
Yeah, swing by Copper Custom.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. I put that in every video too. Copper Custom is in Valparaiso, Indiana, but coppercustom.com, the online store, and that's where you're going to find the cool PC9 carbine chassis, and you can get the charger adapter and DA AKs and stuff when they have batches of those coming through.
Yeah.
And the new DESA, which we're going to be showcasing here, their new bolt action rifle. So
yeah, I have friends I have friends that look at your thing when they're looking for some guns, some cool guns that they can't really find anywhere else. So
yeah, Copper tries to cater to the different market. We don't carry like regular gun store stuff. We like to carry stuff that we use and approve of and stand behind 100%.
Yeah. So they asked me like, oh, do you have like a discount with Copper Custom? I'm like, you know what? Just ask them for the Hank Strange discount. See what happens.
Our Patreons get special pricing, and then
cool. Yeah. Okay. So that's the way to go about it, right?
Yeah. It's all explained. If you go to Patreon link in our description, it'll tell you the tier levels, and you hit a certain tier level, and then you get discounted pricing. And then every once in a while, we'll just post up. We get a bunch of Leo trade-ins, like pre-Freedom Group 870s, and we'll post those up at a blowout price for our Patreons. But the public price is higher, and we do that for our Patreon supporters.
Okay, very cool. So now on my end, for people who are watching out there, I kind of do a little bit differently. I do have people support us on Patreon. We do some other things. We have people sponsor the show. We do different kinds of things to keep this all going. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing the live podcast. So Mac's doing it with me every Wednesday, and then I know he does other live things. Monday to Friday, I do a podcast on lifestyles of the locked and loaded. That's the channel we do it from, Monday to Friday. We're talking about all kinds of crazy things. You can join us over there. I've noticed since Mac's been coming on, there's been some really cool people from the Mac camp coming over, so I appreciate that.
That's the point of all this, being social, spreading the love, everybody.
Thank you. Yes, thanks for the love. Hopefully I don't get something that's forever. Maybe just a needle.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, we're able to get rid of it. But I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to do all of this, answering all the questions. I think the people really enjoy it out there as well.
You, man.
Yeah.
I love doing the collaboration videos, man. It's always fun. So we'll, not next week, but the week after.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be doing that. We got some traveling coming up too, and I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
I need to screws with our Wednesday night.
Oh, okay.
Schedule.
Yeah. We could shift the schedule.
Schedule.
Yeah.
The wife and I were talking about how the English pronounce things differently than we do here in the States. Yeah. Like, we say Jaguar and they say Jaguar and things like that.
Jaguar. Or aluminium.
Yeah, aluminium. We just call it aluminum.
Yeah. Potato, tomato.
Tomato, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, all right, guys.
Yes, okay, so okay, we're just getting weird now. It is
getting weird. Goodbye.
We're drunk. We're tired drunk or something like that. So yes, we'll see you guys probably in like 2 weeks. We'll be doing this again, but we'll be here. Make sure you follow Mac. Thanks a lot, everyone. We're out of here.
Check out Hank Strange's channel. We're heading out too.
Appreciate it. Peace.
Bye.
See ya.